Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the webinar with Cummins. So it's lovely to be joined by Anna, the Early Careers Specialist, and placement students Georgia, Laura, and Sean. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. So we're going to dive straight in and come speak to you first, Anna, and find out a bit about your role, who you are, and who Cummins is.
Thanks, Carla. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our session today. We're excited to be back again this year, as many of our placement students over the last couple of years have discovered us through our Gradcracker webinar sessions.
Yay!
We know there will be quite a number of students listening who haven't heard of Cummins or know very little about us. So we hope today we can show you what an exciting company we are to work for during your placement year. Since joining Cummins this year, actually in March, I'd heard a little about the business, as I knew a few people who had worked at the Daventry site. I previously worked in HR and recruitment, but this is the first time working for an engineering company, and specifically working within early careers. What I've seen so far, Cummins have fantastic opportunities, have great values and culture that I see every day amongst my colleagues. And the development opportunities here are amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have just seen out our 2022-2023 cohort of student placements and have welcomed a new cohort of students across the business this year, who you will have the opportunity to hear from shortly. As a placement student, you'll have a great time, make some new friends, and learn so much about the company and develop useful skills which will support and help you in your final year at university. As a Cummins placement student, you'll get the first opportunity to apply for our graduate role opportunities after your degree finishes, even before the roles go external. And we're incredibly proud of the placement to graduate conversions we have. You will enjoy an open and welcoming culture at Cummins and the relationships you build, not just with your direct team, but all of the other teams and the people you'll come across. We really encourage you to put forward and explore your ideas and be curious and try things out. We have some great opportunities for our students, and we value the skills and behaviours that they bring. All students work on real value-adding projects and jobs, and are treated just like any other employee, which is so important for you to develop and for you to get the most out of your experience.
There's some absolutely amazing experiences at Cummins, and we all know that from the webinars that we've held with you previously. And thank you, Anna, for that brilliant introduction. Looking forward to getting to meet the placement students now a little bit more. So similar to like we always do, we're going through a bit of a round robin, get to know where you all are currently studying at university and your role at Cummins. Then we'll get top facts, and then Anna will speak in more detail about the opportunities that Cummins will have available in the coming weeks. It's a kind of watch this space situation. So Georgia, I'm going to come to you, and could you tell us a little bit more about your background? So what university are you currently studying at?
Hi, my name's Georgia. I'm currently just finished my second year at York studying math and physics. And I'm originally from Manchester, so I commute into Huddersfield every day. My first rotation is material engineering. And yeah, that's
perfect. Don't talk too much. I'll hand you to Jess later on, and then Jess will deep dive and ask you loads of questions. So thanks, Georgia, for that introduction. Laura, coming across to you.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm from Salisbury down south, but I'm currently living and go to University of Manchester, and I study business management with marketing, and I've done that for 2 years now, and I'm on my placement year at Huddersfield, and I commute there every day, and I'm one of the marketing operations placement students.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Laura. And Sean.
Hello. Yeah, so I study mechatronics and robotics at the University of Sheffield. So I decided to take my placement year between my third and fourth year, and I'm currently working in the maintenance department at the Daventry site.
Yeah, perfect. So lots of different backgrounds there, and so interested to know a little bit more later on about why you chose Cummins as an employer. So before we look back to Anna, we're just going to ask you about your top fact, and I know, Georgia, I'm very excited about yours. Tell us a top fact, Georgia. I'm
Yes.
linking into you. I was trying to do such a good link in there. I was like, Georgia.
Sorry. Yeah, my top fact about Cummins is that they're an accredited institution of mechanical engineer. So you're able, after 3 or 4 years, to gain chartership through working at Cummins.
Yeah. Is that something that's your goal in the future then, Georgia?
It's one of my options, yeah. I was looking into it.
Brilliant. Perfect. And this training and development and support is available at Cummins, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Laura, talk about your top fact.
Yeah, so my top fact is that Cummins provides backup power for attractions like the London Eye, and they even provide backup power for monuments like the Statue of Liberty.
That's
Okay.
cool.
That is
Laura,
really
is this a really silly question, but is the backup obviously at that, at location?
I believe so. I think you'd have to ask one of the engineering placement students to be extra safe, but
Yeah.
Incredible, isn't it?
The engines, I've been to the Daventry site.
Yeah.
And the engines can be as big as a lounge, like your dining room. Like, they are massive, and what they power is amazing.
That's incredible, isn't
That
it?
is,
You don't think about things like that, do you?
No, if you don't, you just presume it's always going to work.
Yeah.
And Sean, you're going to talk about sustainability as your top fact?
Yeah, so Cummins is a global leader in sustainable innovation, and they have a bold commitment to sustainability, aiming to achieve net zero in 2050, I believe. And obviously their dedication to climate change is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to be involved in.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Is that something that kind of inspired you to join Cummins, their sustainability thoughts for the future?
Yeah, obviously, we're the future, so that's what we're thinking about.
Yeah. You are the future. That's a lovely way to think about it.
I love that.
Makes me feel old, but still. So Anna, let's talk about the opportunities that you're going to have opened on Gradcracker in the next few weeks.
So so we have got a number of opportunities, and the opportunities
Are varied.
are very varied.
Yeah.
So we are a large placement employer, and we're expected to have about 180 different roles available for the students looking for a 12-month placement.
Yeah.
So as a power technology organisation, we have a real variety of engineering positions. So we also have vacancies within quality, service, manufacturing, IT, HR, marketing and finance.
Yeah.
And we encourage all STEM students to apply to us. So if you see one of our exciting engineering roles, but you're not studying an engineering degree, that's okay. We'll still want to hear from you. And we have hired many a successful candidate in the past from a variety of different STEM backgrounds.
Yeah. I think that's really key, isn't it? Even though that they are engineering roles and it might be called engineering on Gradcracker, you are open to all STEM students. So that is an important message that we wanted to get out there. And we've got a couple of different locations, obviously, on this call, with Huddersfield and Daventry being mentioned. Will the roles be based in more locations than that, or will it predominantly be Huddersfield and Daventry?
No, so we have sites across the UK. So we've got Huddersfield, Darlington and Daventry, which are our main manufacturing sites. But we also have sites in Peterborough, Milton Keynes and Kent. So we are basically spread across the UK.
Perfect. So a location and an opportunity for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much, Anna. So just a bit of a shout out then. So don't forget to follow Cummins now on Gradcracker, and then you will be alerted for when we go live with their opportunities. So Anna, thank you very much. Jessica, I'm going to hand over to you and the placement students.
Brilliant. Thank you, Carla. So, Georgia, I'm going to start with you first, if that's okay. If you could just tell us a bit more about your current role at Cummins. I know you only started in July, wasn't it? So if you could just tell us a bit about your experiences so far and a bit about your team and what life is like for you at the moment.
Okay. So the way my placement works, I'm on 3 different rotations every 4 months. So my first rotation's in the materials lab. So it's a small team of engineers, and I like it because it's a lot more hands-on. But you've also got administration work. So I'll be at the desk some of the days, and I'll be working in the lab other days, having to like write a report on what I found in the lab. So I get to use like a lot of equipment like microscopes and electron microscopes. I learned that last week. So yeah, I just learned a lot of more hands-on techniques than when I was at uni, because it was a lot more sort of theory based.
Sure. And do you know that seems really, really common, especially for the audience that are listening today, when you hear from students like yourself that have got this hands-on experience, you learn so much, don't you? And you say only started in July, and I can imagine that the breadth of knowledge that you've learned from Cummins already is immense.
Yeah, a lot. I think a lot more sort of compact down. You learn a lot more than I did in maybe like practical sessions, because you're actually applying it to real life and projects and things like that.
Brilliant. So your first rotation then. So it sounds as though, a bit of work in the lab. How did you find that? Was that something that you expected to get that experience from Cummins? Were you a bit nervous, or what's it been like?
I was a bit nervous because I've come from a math and physics background, and it is like material engineering, but a lot of the sort of work was related to what I was doing at uni, and a lot of it wasn't as well. So it was kind of good to sort of extend on like concepts that I've known about, and learning like the sort of different techniques and how to talk to customers. In meetings and things like that, because I don't really have that much like public speaking opportunities outside of like maybe 1 or 2 projects, but you're actually like having to talk to clients and get your information across, which I've been learning a lot about how to do that.
You. And it's nerve-wracking, isn't it? So again, it's an additional kind of soft skill that you're learning by being on the placement. You mentioned earlier, Georgia, about your team being quite small. Tell us a bit about your team then, and the kind of people that you're working with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so I think we're only a team of around like 5 engineers, but we also have technicians that will do some of the brunt of any physical work, like sawing things and things like that. But a lot of them specialize in certain areas. So I've got to learn a lot more about specific things about like metallic structure and things like that. But they also treat you like an engineer and like you're a specialist yourself. So a lot of the time I'll be sat there and someone will ask like, what do you think, Georgia? And I'm not used to that. They really treat you like you are an engineer. You are responsible for your report, and you have to take initiative that way. But they've helped along the way as well with sort of getting me up to speed and training me so I can do that. And they're really friendly as well.
Yeah, that work environment seems like it's really a supportive network as well. They value your opinion, but then on the second hand, if you're not sure, you don't know what the answer is, you can ask, which is really, really nice. And like I say, what a lovely kind of insight really into what Cummins is all about. So thanks for that, Georgia. Laura, I'm going to come to you next. Similar kind of question. And also you started in July, didn't you? So what's your experiences been like so far? And is it the same kind of rotations that Georgia's on?
So it's been amazing so far. Like I said, it's been 2 months, but I feel like I've just absorbed so much, learned so much. But no, I've got no rotation. So I'm based in Huddersfield for the year, and that's me set. And I work in sort of setup, printing, fulfillment, the translation of, and the annual review of all the products and the marketing literature across all of the many segments that Cummins, are in control of. And I assist in the digital asset management as well as marketing collateral and promoting the communications team to the whole of Cummins and all employees. And I also help with sort of continuous improvements and ad hoc projects as well as supplier relationship management that deal with all of our marketing literature. And there's 2 of us in the role, and we're both at Huddersfield, but we're also a hybrid working. So I'm working from home today, and my manager's actually in America. So I feel like I've gained office etiquette and amazing soft skills from being in the office, but then being at home, I'm learning what it's going to be like, because the workplace is modernizing, and to get that experience of working from home, but being trusted, knowing that you're going to do your work on time. And it's been a great experience so far. And you can network within Cummins, speak to anyone on site, whether they're engineering, finance. It's such a welcoming workplace. So it's been great so far.
Brilliant. And would you feel as though, Georgia mentioned about, the skills that she's learned already and quite quickly being kind of thrown into those situations. Do you find that? Have you got those skills and qualities as well? Because it must be hard working with your boss who works completely remotely, then you're in, it must be great to kind of, like you say, get those experiences.
It is great. I feel like I've had to adapt a lot to different situations. The way you'd conduct yourself over Zoom is very different to how you'd conduct yourself over the coffee machine, having a quick chat in a meeting in person. But I think at Cummins, I genuinely feel like an employee. I don't feel like a placement student that's just in the corner. They'll give me a few tasks just to keep me busy. I really feel like a valued member of staff. So I've been allowed to learn these skills because I've been sort of left to my own devices in many ways. So yeah, it's been great.
And how do you cope with it? So I was going to ask about the different time zones. I don't know if you were going to say that, Jess, but between you and your manager, how do you deal with that situation?
It is strange. So I'll sort of come online at about 8:30, and then my manager comes online at about 12:30, 1. So sort of the afternoon is when we call and have that contact time, and then sort of I'll go to bed, and then I wake up to sort of everything she's done. So it's sort of, we're playing like catch up a lot, but it works really well. And I've learned how to be independent, because I know that in the morning, if I've got a problem, I really don't have some contacts. I've got to think fast and be independent, but then I know I've got that support later in the day. So it is great. And even in America, I work with the team in marketing, and there's different time zones. There's people in Australia. So it's been really interesting to adapt, because at university and previous jobs, it's just been from the UK. So adapting to that, and even cultural differences, it's been amazing.
Laura, why Cummins for you, doing, the degree discipline that you did, in so many different industries you could go into. So for you, why did you decide Cummins, and why did you decide this placement?
Yeah, that's a great question. I remember I applied and I sort of researched the company. I thought, I feel so out of my depth. Like, I have no history to do with engines, manufacture anything. But I thought about it, from a sort of business perspective. I've taken lots of modules at university on sustainability, and just the way Cummins, they've been around for over 100 years. They're clearly doing something right. They treat their staff so well. They're giving back and making sure that they're doing great by the environment. I just think they operate in such a great way, and they offered an amazing placement. And even though I hadn't heard of the company, I knew that it would be a great fit. And I've learned a lot being here 2 months. Like, you could ask me a question on engines that I would not have known a few weeks ago, but I can answer it now. So it was strange at first, thinking, Cummins, I haven't heard of them, but it's mainly because, they are business to business. As just the general public, you maybe wouldn't have heard of them if you didn't have an engineering background, but I couldn't recommend them enough. They've been amazing.
And already, I know this is a bit early to ask, and maybe in front of Anna is a little bit awkward, but could you see yourself, staying within this industry now? You think, you could see yourself having a career here and, kind of carrying on the journey if possible?
Absolutely. I mean, one reason is because they've got amazing graduate schemes and, development schemes. So I could stay and personally and do well, but it's not daunting. I thought I'd be so out of my depth, but everyone's so kind, understanding. It's so easy to learn and pick up all the different segments they've got, the different engines they've got. So if you're not from an engineering background, you definitely shouldn't feel overwhelmed by, coming into a role like this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that seems to be a common theme. Georgia, you mentioned it. From your degree to the stuff that you're doing, Laura, what your degree to the stuff that you've experienced so far seems to be a bit of a common thread. So anyone sat here listening, do not think that you don't know enough, because you'll learn it. You can ask those questions, and Cummins will teach you it, which is fantastic. So thank you so much for that, Laura. Sean, I'm going to come to you next. Similar question: what is life like for you? So you've only been at Cummins for a month, did you say, before the session started?
A month and a half.
Month and a half.
Yeah. So like I said, I work at the maintenance department. My role is a maintenance manufacturing engineer. And then obviously, as a maintenance engineer in like a production line, all I do is I collaborate closely with a team of professionals to ensure smooth operations of manufacturing processes. And then obviously some of my responsibilities are tracking mean time between failures and mean time to repair data to optimize equipment efficiency across the site. Because, well, we have a full production line here, so we have to keep it running all the time. So we need that data to make sure that we're on all the time so we can maximize profit, minimize loss.
Yeah.
Obviously, after I do a lot of data analysis in my role, apart from like the hands-on thing I do. So after I analyze and visualize this data, I have a lot of meetings and a lot of presentations. So that has really helped my presentation skills. I have a lot of meetings with actually higher up people. So I take my findings and I present it to them, and then they go up to those higher up and make decisions about the production line. And then obviously one hands-on thing I do is that I participate in like machine rebuilds. So when production is done on like an engine and then they test the engine, and then if there's like a problem with the engine, they have to take it back and strip it down and find the exact problem that's wrong with the engine. So that's something really cool that I get to do.
So in terms of even hands-on, so you say that you would physically be hands-on on the engine, stripping it down, so then behind your desk kind of looking at the data and working it out. Must be quite a great opportunity, especially for an engineer, to get that hands-on experience where you're physically taking something apart and putting it back together. You know, that problem solving must be a skill and an experience which you can really kind of indulge in at Cummins, which is nice.
Yeah, it's amazing because like you learn so much stuff in university, but then once you actually get to placement, you get to see these things physically and like apply them and just like see what other people are doing and apply that as well.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us a bit about your team then, Sean. So you said that you've obviously you get to report to quite more senior people, part of the team as well. But on the day-to-day, what's that kind of like, and you know, who you're working with on a normal day for you?
So the way we work is that everyone has their own role, but then it all links up together. So I do my own thing, everyone does their own thing, but at the end of the day, it all comes together and then it flows nicely.
Sure.
But then probably like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, I'm in the office doing like office work. Thursday, Fridays, I'm on the line helping out. Yeah.
Cool. And what do you prefer? Do you prefer the hands-on stuff or do you prefer being behind the desk?
I mean, during the summer it was really hot, so I'd say on the desk. But like it's a nice mix and I enjoy it.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I bet. That's great. Thanks, Sean. Okay, so next I'm going to start to talk a bit more in detail about your projects. Again, I know we all haven't been here that long yet, but it seems as though you're all getting some very good hands-on experience. So George, I'm going to come back to you. You know, you've mentioned a bit about the lab work and things like that you've done, but what kind of other projects have you been involved in that's kind of stood out to you so far?
I've been involved in quite like varied projects, surprisingly. Like I've been doing a lot of work with suppliers for some of the sort of items and parts that we're making. So it goes down to sort of looking at how they perform, how they can be improved, and what about the production process is creating what sort of results that we're wanting to see. So if it's like, if the metal has been cooled down too slow or too fast, how will that affect performance, and sort of advising suppliers to create like the best part possible. So I've been doing some work on that. And I've also been doing some statistical work, which statistics is not my favorite thing to do. But it's been quite, it's because it's, you can sort of, I don't know how to explain, but it's not my favorite thing to do, but I don't mind it in the context of what I'm doing it for. Like it's actually for something interesting. It's not like at uni where it's like just, I don't know, something that you just don't know much about. But I have to present my findings after looking through a lot of data and interpreting that. And it's for this project that's we're collaborating with a university in Germany. So they came down here, so we spoke through what was important and what sort of results I've come up with and how they can be used in the project. So it actually, I'm enjoying it because it actually is meaningful. But yeah, this sort of, that's about it.
Yeah, that's good. It's interesting. It seems as though, George, you've mentioned it a couple of times now, you're drawing that comparison already with kind of world of work versus kind of uni life. And I know, again, it's really quite early on in your placement, but similar kind of question that I kind of asked Laura, but can you see now, the advantage of you doing a placement? Would you advise people listening to this webinar to, go and do a placement? And what would your words be to people that are listening? Because by the sounds of it, the experiences that you've got so far, you're drawing them, completely different to university life. And, it seems as though it's really impacted you in a way. What would your advice be to the students that are listening and the benefit of doing a placement?
I'll definitely advise on doing a placement and taking the break out of your studies.
Yeah.
Because I feel already that I'll just go to third year with a new type of mindset when it comes to like time management, getting things done, actually doing what you've promised to do, because other people are depending on it. Those sort of skills are very useful for your final year. And also getting your head around certain concepts that for example, I was struggling a bit with solid state physics, and some of my work is it's some of the work is like got something to do with solid state physics, but I'm learning in more detail than I was for like an optional book that I could have taken at uni, but I've not decided to read it. So I think I'll come back to my third year knowing more detail and more background on the concepts that I'm learning about. So you just get a more sort of general idea of things as well.
Absolutely. Which ultimately, and I think I said this on the last webinar that we did, Carla, but ultimately it makes you, that when you go back to do your final year, more than likely going to get a better grade. You've got all those additional skills that you've learned. You've got more of an idea of actually where you want to take your career in the long run, whether it be coming back to Cummins or, using that experience to apply it to another industry, whatever it may be. So, just such a massive advocate for placements. I just think, absolutely. So anyone listening, do not have any reservations about doing it. Just jump in and go for it. Any other projects, Georgia, you want to touch upon that you've experienced? So you've mentioned your statistics, you've mentioned lab work, anything else?
I've got some small projects. Some of my work is that someone else is working on a project and they bring me in to advise on things. So I've been doing some work, working out like getting pieces that they've received, catching up with what they've done, and then sort of adding onto the project. So that's sort of good because you can sort of like dip in and out of the project, see where they're up to, and advise them and things like that. So yes, most of the projects are like advisory roles as well.
Yeah, interesting. And then in terms of your next rotation then, so where will you be after this first one?
My next rotation will be in rotor systems. So that I've heard that it's quite good. I've spoken to some people that have been in rotor systems. It's very different to material engineering, but I'm looking forward to it.
And is that a choice that you get to make then, Georgia, or is it kind of set that this is where you're going next, and do you know where you're going to be for the third and the fourth rotation?
Yeah, so you get given a list and a PowerPoint that sort of gives a sort of rundown of what each department is like and the skills that you're using. And then you'll fill in this sheet with like your number one, what you definitely want to be part of, and number 20, the ones that you're not really like want to be in. And then you sort of get assigned from what your preferences. So you usually get the ones in your top 5, top 6.
Okay. Oh, that's good. So you've got a good idea. And then in terms of team and that kind of transition, so when will you start that transition into rotation 2?
I'm moving to rotation 2 in November. Usually like for when I move, I've left like a sheet of how to do things in the lab and sort of like start a sheet for people. So usually you get that if like your placement from the placement student before, which will just give you sort of what sort of been happening while you weren't
very good
there.
Yeah.
But you get to communicate. I think people from rotor systems are on this floor, so I've pretty much spoken to them most of the time, so I have a general idea of what they've been doing already before I join.
That's nice as well to know that you know the people you're going to be working with. You're an idea of the projects that they're working on, that transition then is going to be a lot easier. And then you know that there is someone that's going to come and take your place, and you can hand over to them. That's really good. And I think, Anna, as well, Cummins are so geared up, aren't they, for placement students coming into the business. There is, you know, you've got so many placement opportunities. And again, I think I've got a presentation after this webinar, and I'm talking to students about the benefits of doing a placement. And when you hear, you know, sometimes the students' reservations, as a company, you are so geared up for these students. You can really support them, can't you, through every stage?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've seen it from when I first started at Cummins, and that was only March this year. You know, we try and keep, you know, our hiring of graduates and students as inclusive as possible. And we appreciate that everyone has a different perspective. You know, they can bring that, and they come from different degree backgrounds and personal backgrounds. And, you know, if you're coming in and doing a 12-week internship or a 12-month placement, you know, it just gives us a better way of working with students. And because we treat graduates and students as one of the team, it's not like you've heard so far, you know, it's very inclusive. We want everybody to come in and do a good job, and we enable that.
Yeah, it's just those little things, like you said, Georgie, you know, there's that security of, you know, where you're going next, you know, you already know the team. So again, it just feels as though it's organized, you know, we know what's happened. There's not that worry of, oh, where am I going next? What's going to happen? And, you know, what's it going to look like? And I think that's just, again, a good point to make, that you know, you're in a safe place. So Laura, coming back to you, in terms of projects then, if you could tell us a bit more detail about a particular project maybe you've worked on so far, or what's your kind of favourite thing you've worked on?
Of course, I feel like my role is almost split into two. There's the daily monotonous, and they're not boring, they're just repetitive. There's lots of tasks that we get up to. Because myself and the team manage all of the marketing collateral. So that could be a massive banner for a trade show, it could be an email sign off, it could be anything to do with marketing and Cummins. So we handle that. So we get lots of requests to edit this that we then pass on to us stakeholders, but we sort of manage everything in between, whether it's setup, it's printing, it's fulfillment, it's translation. But I'd say our bigger projects, and maybe the one that I find the most interesting, and I feel like I've been given sort of a lot of responsibility over, is our annual literature review. So Cummins is made up of hundreds of different segments, whether it's mining, off-highway truck, you know, the list is endless. And every month we'll pick a couple of topics, and myself and the team will go through their literature, and we'll look at their usage, their downloads, the interactions they get, and we'll, you know, ourselves come up with, do we think the price is right? The engagement enough, edited, updated, and then we have a call normally on Zoom, because a lot of them and the owners are in America, but we'll sort of make our own recommendations. How are you going to go forward with this marketing, and what do we think is best for the future? And especially touching on sustainability, we're trying to move a lot of our stock and product to digital and print on demand, so it's not sort of a waste of paper. So that's been great. It's a project that is ongoing always, but it's really engaging. I feel like I can really say what I think, use my own opinion, use what I've learned in university of how we can make things better, and present that to other members of staff in Cummins, and they really respect and reciprocate the trust in what we're saying. And it's a great process. I'd say that's probably my favourite project that we get up to.
That must be really good, to feel that you can suggest those ideas, and, you know, obviously they're willing to listen to you as well. And, you know, if you do mention something that works, you know, they put that in place. In terms of, more so, Laura, with your role and the opportunity to travel, you know, you've mentioned America a lot, and obviously, you know, Cummins is in an international company. Would you ever want the chance to travel in the future with Cummins if you were to come back as a graduate? Is that ever an option? Or, like I say, with working now all being remote or hybrid, is that not really something you would want?
Oh, absolutely, that's something I'd want. I think it's trickier as a placement student, you know, having a year potential, you know, the budgeting of everything. But I've visited the Darlington site, and I've got, you know, a trip lined up to connect with other marketing placement students and just other marketing teams in the UK at least. So they're really, you know, happy to and promote us traveling around the UK to connect with other people.
Good,
I
yeah.
think overseas might be trickier, but I'm sure that graduates, there's a lot more flexibility for that. But I'd love to, but I also do love connecting over Zoom, which does sound odd, but you just learn so many skills, and that just is what the workplace is going to become. So you've really got to adapt. So it's a nice balance. I think Cummins recognise the importance of being in person, but also connecting online and how to approach that. They really guide you through that, which is great.
Absolutely. And talking of skills and things that you feel like you've learned that you can, you know, kind of take back for your final year of study, is there anything big there you feel as though, oh, I didn't know that, maybe something I didn't know I was good at, or maybe wasn't so good at, that you feel like you can take back?
It's hard. I feel like I couldn't put my finger on what it is. It's just this like sort of light bulb moment, because you're sat in uni, you're in a lecture, it's just content, it's PowerPoint slides, and it doesn't really resonate. But then when you're sat in the workplace and you gain the soft skills and you can combine the knowledge you have but in practice, because I think that's what a placement is all about. It's gaining really valuable experience and being trusted. And I know that leaving, having had my degree and my placement year, I'm just going to be so much more confident. You know, I'll be more desirable, you know, in applications. But it just really has come full circle with the knowledge I've got, but putting it into practice. Because, you know, you might be given an assignments to uni, maybe a bit of group work, but nothing where you can really demonstrate your skills and put into practice what you've learned and demonstrate it in person with colleagues with respect. It's great. So I feel like that's definitely what I've learned.
And do you know what's really exciting as well, to think that, you know, you've, you know, only a couple of months in and you feel like this already. So imagine what you're going to feel like this time next year, and how much more confident you're going to be, or all the other skills you'll have learned. So it's super, super exciting, you know, to see that you are now on this journey, and, you know, where you're going to be in a couple of months in the future is going to be completely different again. So well done. Sean, I'm going to come to you, if that's okay. Similar kind of question, projects. Tell us a bit about a particular project that you've worked on so far.
So most of the hands-on stuff that I've been up to, I've had to, because I've been here for only a month and a half, I've had to do a lot of training. So I'm still in my training phase, you know, understanding like my role and what it has in line for me. But moving to the data analysis side, I've done a lot of work on Microsoft Power BI, you know, collecting data from the machines and obviously analyzing and visualizing the data so I can put together like a presentation and present it to the higher ups so they can make final decisions about the whole plant. So that's literally what I've been up to.
Brilliant, good stuff. And can you tell us, have you done any, you know, a bit like George has done other projects as well as doing that? Have you done anything else? Or is it your work solely on that particular thing?
Well, as a Cummins employee, I think we have to do a maximum of 20 hours of voluntary work. So I think it's part of a scheme called Every Employee, Every Community. So I've been actively engaged in like the voluntary work, and obviously we have a club called like the Daventry Engineering Society, which the aim of this club is to actively engage young girls, right, to show them really what engineering is all about, and to introduce them to like STEM in general. So we have like plant tours for them, we have quizzes, scavenger hunts, and I think there's just a fantastic initiative to like bring young girls into engineering and show them what it's all about. And it also like shows the diversity that Cummins has. I'm trying to involve like young ladies in the engineering sector, which is like, I know there's like the percentage of women in engineering is really low, so they're just trying to increase that.
Yeah, that's good. It was nice. Yeah, absolutely, to be inspiring that generation. Again, it's another skill, and you know, to have, you know, you maybe didn't expect to be doing that so early on. So that's great that Cummins are offering that. In terms of you know, going back to the kind of the main project, is there anything else within that main project that you've been doing on, you know, working on that particular diesel engine that you kind of want to tell the students about?
Yeah, so obviously I've done, like, I haven't really done too much because obviously I'm still in the training stage, but moving on, I'm going to do a lot of like preventative maintenance. So like I said, when the engines go to testing and let's say there's a fault in testing, they have to come back and strip the engines down and find the exact fault. So I'm going to be part of the team, get my overalls on and get my hands a bit dirty on that.
I love it. I love it. Are the red overalls? Are they all branded?
Yeah, they are all branded.
I
Yeah,
thought they'd be red.
but they're not red though.
Oh, they're not.
Oh,
They're not red.
Grey.
No,
Down there. I thought
no, they're grey and black or something. Yeah.
So what's that like then? And tell us a bit about that kind of, that working environment then, because you mentioned about obviously the hands-on stuff. Is that something you expected to be doing? And what's kind of the health and safety around that? The confidence that you've got, working on these big machines? Because again, I can imagine that you haven't been doing that at university.
Yeah, so there's a lot to do with health and safety and like risk assessments, because obviously I'm a placement student doing like the job of like a technician, but
Yeah.
it's fun because like you learn all these things at uni and you just see them on slides, but getting to actually get some hands-on experience and really do it just makes you appreciate like the whole production line, because you see like I'm on the production line and it's crazy that you see a block of steel coming and then at the end of the production line you see an actual engine. So it's just mind-blowing to see that. It's amazing.
Yeah, I bet I can imagine. Brilliant. That's really, really interesting. So thanks, Sean. Next, we're going to talk a bit about the future and what the future's looking like. I know we've kind of touched upon this already. So George, I'm going to come to you again first, but probably the future in terms of long term, you're thinking now a career at Cummins, we've talked a bit about the next rotation, what are you wanting from this placement here at Cummins, and what are you looking forward to next?
I don't have a definite plan yet, which I think's okay. I want to keep my options open. But I know once I finish this placement, I'll finish my last year of uni and maybe hopefully be offered a graduate role or see if I could find a role here at Cummins after graduation. If I did that, I would want to gain chartership and work at Cummins for like 3 or 4 years. That's one of the routes. But another route I had an interest in medical physics. So I was maybe wanting to do like biomaterials at Manchester, which is good because material engineering, what I'm doing now, even though it's like metal, not bones, a lot of those skills are kind of transferable using like equipment and things like that and analyzation. So yeah, those are my different routes.
You've got totally different career paths ahead of you, but lots of options to take along the way. So in terms of kind of just thought then with Sean mentioning about kind of giving back as well, the kind of additional projects that you've been working on. Have you got any experiences like that, Georgia? Have you done anything additional with Cummins? Any other projects like that?
Next week I'm doing we call them like the triple ECs. I'm volunteering planting trees for a charity, so I'm doing that next week. And I've just been doing sort of general like community-based things. I'm heading up to Hull next month to sort of promote Cummins to physics students, which is good because I am one.
Fantastic. Okay.
So yeah, they're all coming up. Sort of
is that going to Hull University or is that going into schools?
Hull University, yeah.
Brilliant. Fantastic. And again, it must be lovely to feel as though now you're in that place where you're giving back and you're inspiring the next generation and giving back to them and telling them what they could be doing. So well done, Georgia. Laura, we're going to come to you next. What is the future looking like for you, if you can answer that?
Well, finish this amazing year and then go back and finish my degree, and then I've got my hopes set on potentially a graduate scheme here at Cummins. They've got an amazing European sales and marketing scheme where you actually do different rotations and you can experience different types of marketing and sales. And being here for this year, I can network with people and just get a feel for the role before I even apply for it, which is really great because I don't think I'd have had that experience to do that if not. But I'd happily say in this company, it's great. And there's so much room for development. And a big thing that I'm interested in and keen in is they've got ERGs. And I think Powering Your Potential above me there, that's actually an ERG, which is an employee resource group. And Cummins are so big on employee and career development and making sure
Mm.
everyone is the best they can be. And they've got ERGs, which I think they've been going for about 30 years at Cummins, and
Yeah.
they are employee-led groups where people come together and find a topic, whatever it could be, to form a group and then promote that, whatever it may be. And there's sort of the Women's Empowerment Network, there's Pride, there's Powering Your Potential, which is all about career development. So I know that even if I don't stay in Cummins, which would be an absolute shame, I know that I've gained so much this year and been a part of different areas, connected with different people over different topics, and done lots of things outside my role, because they really want you to connect with others and just develop skills. So it's been great this year.
Yeah. And do you know, it's interesting to learn about Cummins, that they are a forward-thinking company, aren't they?
Yeah.
By the sounds of it, they're thinking about all aspects, you know, not just where they're going as a business, but taking their employees with them.
Mhm.
And it must be nice to be, you know, part of that journey. Anna, it looks as though I'm sure Sean's going to say that he wants to stay as well. You know, we've definitely got 3 graduates in the pipeline here, which is a reason why you offer these placements. You know, it makes sense.
Exactly.
So why not get all 3 back once they finish their degree? You know,
I mean,
ready.
that's what we like to do. We give every student that has been a placement student here first opportunity to apply for any graduate roles that we have.
Yeah.
So before we say farewell, they will be given the opportunity to apply before the roles go external. So that's a really good benefit of actually coming into the organisation, because what we want to do is we want to retain talent, and we want to retain those people that are passionate about our products and pushing our company forward.
Yeah.
So, and we find that a lot in our placement students.
Yeah, it's just a no-brainer. Sean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to add to that a bit about your future and maybe what you're thinking. And again, I know it's early stages, but you've had so much experience already.
Yeah, so obviously my decision to take a placement year and obviously take a year off uni was just in line with the fact that I wanted to know how working in engineering was going to be like. Like, a placement year is not just for you to like or get something on your CV or make some money, but it's just a glimpse into like what your future is going to be like. And that was really like what I want to do in my placement year, and it's been fantastic so far. Like, the team in Cummins have been really good. It's really like a family here, so everyone's been really nice, helpful. It's a site, so it's like everyone is always there's just kind of togetherness here. Even the voluntary activities I've been doing, it's really good, and obviously that's something I would want someone to do to me at that stage of my life. So yeah, that's amazing and fantastic.
Yeah, it's really, really good. All good. I think we're going to come to you next. Oh, no, we're going to come away from the day job.
Yeah. Extracurricular stuff.
Extracurricular.
Oh.
Sean, I'll stick with you. You spoke a bit about kind of the extracurricular activities that you've got involved in, but is there anything else, networking groups, sports groups that you've been involved in?
Yeah, so me and a couple of the other guys, we have a five-a-side team, so we meet like every Tuesday, so which is nice. Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's football.
That's football, yeah, football, sorry.
No, that's right. So is that like an internal team that you play other teams within Cummins, or is it?
We just play ourselves. So it's just guys on the shop floor and also other employees around. So yeah, we meet up every Tuesday evenings and then we play football.
Oh, I love it. And Sean, have you had to relocate, did you say, to?
Yeah, so initially I was in Sheffield and I relocated to Daventry, but yeah, it's been nice.
How did you find the relocation?
It wasn't too bad. It was quite smooth. Yeah. I'm liking the new city. It's a lot quieter than Sheffield, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Daventry is a lot quieter than Sheffield.
If people watching don't know where Daventry is, where's Daventry?
Northamptonshire.
Yeah, basically right in the middle of the UK.
Yeah.
In terms of why I asked that was because I was thinking that's a nice thing to do again, isn't it? You know, it's creating those friendships as well, isn't it? You know, when you have relocated for a placement, you know, you don't know anyone, you feel like maybe going into it on your own, but to, you know, have again that network where it's not just about work, you know, you can have fun, you can relax, and you know, it's great that Cummins are offering that. So yeah, how did you get involved in that, Sean? Did you sign up or did someone ask you to come along?
So actually, it was just like the guy. So I'm in so my department, we have our own office. So literally the guy next to me, I saw him during our lunch break, he was watching like a clip of football, and I just started talking to him about it, and then we went on and on, and then he invited me for the 5-a-side for the football. Yeah. And we also have like a canteen, so everyone goes there. So during our lunch break, it's just like a family thing, and everyone's chatting about.
Oh, I love that. You said family thing. That's lovely. That's nice. Again, representation of what Cummins is all about. Laura and Georgia, coming back to you, any extracurricular activities that you've been involved in? I know you've kind of mentioned some already, Georgia, but any more?
I like to do, there's like this sort of bi-weekly Zoom meeting called like Let's Biker, where you like speak to people, new starters, part of the New Starter Network around the UK. So it's been good to speak to people, and you get on with them and you realize they're literally just a floor above you. So that's nice. And I actually found one of my old friends from college is apparently working at Cummins in the Kent side. So it's like it does a really good job of making new friends and sort of connecting and reconnecting apparently across like the sites. So that's good.
Oh, brilliant. Well done, Georgia. Laura?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think the example of ERGs is definitely the way forward if you were to join to make friends and network. There's the New Starter Support Network, which obviously focuses on new starters. There's Powering Your Potential, Women's Empowerment. There's just so many. And there's just hundreds. And I've joined a few, and I've tried to, support in any way I can, offer my help, because it would be great for myself to like develop and plan any events that are going on. But it's just a great way to meet people. And I was in a meeting with someone from Rota System, someone from and I would have never connected with them if I was just sat in my office with the marketing team. So anything you're interested in, I would say just go for it, because you don't know who you can meet, what you can talk about. Obviously, there's the core of the ERG itself, but it's just a great way to connect with other people.
And that's what it's all about ultimately, isn't it? Network, put yourself out there, go and apply.
Enjoy yourself.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, everybody. So, Anna, we're going to finish off this webinar by speaking about the recruitment process. So tell us a bit more about that.
Right. Okay. So our roles are due to go live. We were due to go live this week. Slight delay, but we're hoping for within 2 weeks they will be live. They'll be live, obviously, on Gradcracker. And if you click the follow
button
thing on the system, you guys will notify anybody that is interested in a particular role.
Absolutely.
I think you've set it up so you can get an idea of what the role is going to look like. But that is not the live role. When the role goes live, then you'll let everybody know to obviously click and apply. Then from that you will upload your CV. And obviously give us some insight about what you've been doing at university. If you've had any other jobs, just to show your key skills. And I think for us, then we review CVs and we try to get back to each and every one of you as soon as we can, because we know how important it is and how time consuming it is to get in on a placement role. But yeah, once the CV's uploaded, it will come into our system, and our recruiters will then review the CV, obviously against what we are required in the role. If you fit the bill, the recruiter will set up a call with you, and they'll just go through obviously the role, understand from your point of view why have you applied for it, what are your interests, what are the key skills you can apply to the role. What I would advise is, if you're applying for a role, the best thing for you to do is do your research. Research us as a business. If you know where it's going to be, research about that particular plant or site. And I think once you get to interview stage, so you'll have your sort of pre-screen with the recruiters. The recruiters will send your CV to the hiring manager, and then the hiring manager will decide to take you forward for interview. It may be interview, so it may be you and 3 others that are interviewed for one role. But if it's a bigger pool of candidates we're looking for, it might be an assessment centre.
Okay.
And
So-
that is, you come along, do a presentation, and then you go off into breakout rooms and have individual interviews.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just depends. We might have an engineering role in Daventry, but we're looking for 10 students.
Mm-hmm.
From that perspective, we would do an assessment centre.
Yeah.
But you'd still be applying through the link on the website.
Yeah, perfect.
On Gradcracker. So yeah, once you've been shortlisted for interview, then, like I said, just do your research
Mm-hmm.
on the job, on the business, on the site that you're going to be hopefully based,
Mm-hmm.
and bring a little bit of personality with you when you come to interview, because as much as it is nerve-wracking when you have an interview, we like to see you as a person as best we can, because it's not just about your key skills, it's about your values and how you fit and how you align with us as a business with your values. And then once your interview's over, fingers crossed, you get a call. And then from that point onwards, if you're successful, you'll start with us it's usually July, August, September are our main times when our students join. What I encourage you all to do is, like Georgia, Sean and Laura have done, is to just reach out to your network of colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
or use the ERGs, because they're really useful. I know some sites, and we're trying to align this, have a placement student program, where they try and align other placement students on that site.
Okay.
So you don't feel you're necessarily on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have sort of a cohort of other placement students that you can go to and talk to and interact with.
You can have a buddy.
Yeah, have a buddy.
Have a buddy.
But what I would say from my perspective, as an employee, I started in March, and you guys have only been you've been here a little bit less time than me, but I found the teams that I work with, and across the teams that I work with, everybody's wanting for you to succeed.
Yeah.
And it's about you putting that time and effort into doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so far so good.
So far so good. Watch this space. So like Anna said, all of the information that you need to be able to put a good quality application together is on the hub on Gradcracker. We've got loads and loads on there. So we added a new video just this morning that Anna is very proud of.
I love it. It's great.
It is great, to be fair. So go onto the video page and have a look at that. But there's employee profiles, bits of the information about sustainability. So it's all there. So there really is no excuse that you don't do your research. So you kind of gave some hints and tips during what you just mentioned, Anna, about the whole application process, bring the real you to the interviews and everything else. Is there anything else that you advise students to do? Any top tips for them?
Make sure it's a job you want to do.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be there doing it 12 months.
Yeah.
And like my lovely student colleagues have said, just you need to be able to want to do that job.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to see that as part of your career development.
Yeah.
So if you see a job and you love it, apply for it.
Yeah.
Because we don't limit the amount of different roles you apply for,
mm-hmm.
but if you're applying for them, make sure you really want them.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they are, our jobs are really popular.
Yeah.
We do, I think most of them are closed by December.
Yeah.
So they're only open for 8 weeks probably.
Yeah.
From the time you see them. So I would encourage, if you see them, apply to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think your passion and things like that really comes across in your application. So make sure, again, it all goes back to research. It all goes back to being passionate about Cummins and obviously the opportunity that you're going to apply for. So a bit of homework then, as always, following on from these webinars. So make sure you go and follow Cummins on Gradcracker, and then we'll alert you when their opportunities open. And as we all said, it's going to be hopefully within the next week, 2 weeks time. Then you can get your applications in, but do your research beforehand. So thank you all very much for joining us today. It's been lovely to speak to you all again, as it is every year with Cummins. Really enjoyed this webinar. Jessica and I will be back on Monday, where we're joined by SSE. So good luck, Cummins, and we shall see you all later on. Thank you, everybody. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Carla and Jessica.
Bye-bye.
Bye.